What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is James from CopLogic, and we've got some news today regarding the potential next manager for Liverpool Football Club. Now, obviously, the fan favourite, as we all know, is Xabi Alonso, ex-Liverpool legend. And the good news is today's story is about Xabi Alonso, so let's dive into what's been going on. So to kick things off, we've got this report coming from Anfield Edition via a couple of journalists who we'll talk about in a second. But the report basically says that Liverpool have made their move and contacted Xabi Alonso about becoming the club's new manager. The Bayer Leverkusen boss is at the top of the shortlist to replace Jurgen Klopp. Now, first of all, the journalists that are attributed to this story are French, which I find a little bit odd because obviously Xabi is Spanish and he's currently working in Germany, and Liverpool are an English club, so I'm not really sure how some French journalists have got the scoop on this story. So I think take that with a little pinch of salt. But what I will say is we do know that Xabi Alonso is definitely one of the front runners for the job at Liverpool. If this story is true, then obviously super promising news that we finally made contact with him. I personally would have thought we'd already made contact before this, like much earlier. Obviously FSG have known since November that Jurgen Klopp is leaving. I would have liked to think that they'd have started putting the wheels in motion long before today. But to be fair to the story, it doesn't actually mention a date. It just mentions that Liverpool have contacted Xabi Alonso. But if that's not enough for you, Neil Jones, who is an accredited journalist, has said today that, and this is a quote from him, "I think Xabi Alonso is the big favourite for the Liverpool job at this stage, and he would be my choice too." Now, I think that's very promising that it would appear to be that Xabi Alonso is the favourite for Liverpool. So he's the favourite for the fans, but he's also the favourite for the club. So the good news is I think Liverpool want him, the fans want him. Hopefully he wants Liverpool. Now, another ex-Liverpool legend, John Aldridge, has spoken about Xabi Alonso, saying that he knows him very well, and he is confident that if he was offered the job, he would say 100% take it, 100% say yes. So again, super promising to hear things like that. If Liverpool have contacted him, then I think not only does it make him favourites, but I think there's a very, very high chance that he does end up being the one to take over the reins at Liverpool. And just in addition to that, a story I saw today from Fabrizio Romano says that Hansi Flick would love to work for Barcelona amid links as Xavi's replacement. Now, there's a lot of Xavis and Xabis flying around here, but obviously Xavi as well is stepping down from Barcelona. So Hansi Flick apparently would love the job at Barcelona, which the reason I'm bringing that up is because he was another manager on Liverpool's shortlist. If he ends up at Barcelona, that obviously takes him off. And then again, a little bit more chance that we see Xabi Alonso at Liverpool potentially. So I just thought that was worth mentioning. Now, in regards to Xabi Alonso, what I'll say is he's obviously not the only name on this shortlist, so I don't think there's any guarantees at this stage that it's him, but it's looking very, very promising that it will be him. In terms of the other managers on the list, we'll probably put a video together at some point discussing everyone that's on that shortlist and the pros and cons of everyone, because everyone does have pros and cons, you know, Xabi Alonso included in that. But the one thing I'll say about Xabi Alonso is I think the most important thing is, if you think about Jurgen Klopp and what he's done at Liverpool, the primary thing he did when he came in, if you remember that speech about turning doubters to believers, was he galvanized the fan base with the team on a pitch. He made Liverpool a family again. You know, he really changed the ethos around Liverpool Football Club, that feeling around Liverpool Football Club. As he said, he wanted to turn doubters into believers. He certainly did that, but I think what he's generated, that sort of atmosphere, that sort of connection between the fans and the club and the manager, is one of the most important things that he did. Despite everything that he's won, I think that is one of the most important things that he did. I think it's key that whoever comes in next is able to continue that and carry on that legacy in that same way. And I do think that Xabi Alonso is the perfect man for that job. If you think about, you know, he's not just an ex-Liverpool player, he's an ex-Liverpool legend. People absolutely loved him when he was here on the pitch. And just based on that, you know that the reaction, if he's the one that walks out at Anfield next season, you know that he's going to get an amazing reaction. You know the fans already love him. He's going to be instantly accepted. He understands Liverpool as a football club. He understands the Liverpool fans, more importantly. He understands what the Liverpool fans expect of Liverpool Football Club in terms of the goals that we should be reaching, the aspirations you should have if you come into this club, whether that's to play at this club or whether it's to manage this club. And he's got unfinished business with Liverpool. Obviously never managed to win the Premier League with Liverpool when he was here as a player, and it is something that he always dreamt of doing. So he's got that chance again to come and do it as a manager. Now, if what John Aldridge is saying is true, that he would 100% accept it, then that sounds really promising to me, that if we just if we reach out to him, he'll say yes. It's an offer maybe too good for him to turn down. It does feel like it's potentially a little bit early in his managerial career. But that said, what he's doing in this managerial career is absolutely exceptional. You know, he's currently with Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. He's at the top of the league at the moment. They're undefeated this season. They're actually only 2 games away from equaling Bayern Munich's record
in the Bundesliga for longest undefeated spree. So I would love to see him equal that, first of all, and I would love to see him go on and win the league. That would be amazing. Now the last manager to win the Bundesliga that wasn't with Bayern Munich was Jurgen Klopp with Borussia Dortmund. So it was good enough for us then, and I think it's good enough for us now. If Xabi Alonso can do it, definitely get him in. But I honestly think even if he doesn't win the league, what he's doing is so impressive. You know, Bayer Leverkusen were second to bottom when he came in. He's currently got them top of the league and undefeated. That is very, very impressive. And the structure similarities around the club are very similar to Liverpool in terms of they have a much smaller budget. He's working. He has to be very careful about which players he brings in. They've got to be the right players, and he has to ultimately get players that, you know, he can't spend a lot of money. So perhaps players that other teams like Bayern Munich can afford, the big names, Harry Kane. Obviously, at Leverkusen, he can't do that. So the players he brings in, he's got to make sure that he can get them to the top of their game very quickly. Now, who does that remind you of? Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp and the job that he's been doing at Liverpool season after season. Now, stylistically on the pitch, he does play a different formation to Klopp. Will that matter? I don't know. Is he going to be able to come in and adapt to Jurgen Klopp's play style, or is it more going to be that he comes in and adapts the players to his play style? Honestly, I think whatever works for him works for us if it gets us results. The most important thing for me is I think he can come in and carry on the ethos, the mentality, and the connection that Jurgen Klopp built at Anfield between the fans, the players, the managerial team. I will say team because we all know them. Liverpool's backroom staff feel, I think, very familiar to the fans. And obviously, I'm not a fan of other clubs. I don't know if it goes to the same extent, but I will say that I couldn't name yet any of the backroom staff of pretty much most other teams in the Premier League. So again, I don't know whether that's my ignorance or whether Liverpool genuinely do seem to have a much better connection between the club and the fans, but that's certainly how it feels to me. Obviously, the backroom staff are all leaving with Jurgen Klopp, but again, I have mentioned before that I don't think that's a bad thing. If Xabi Alonso was the guy to get the job and he came in, he would want his own staff around him. I think that's one of the most important things, is you have to be working with people that you trust. You have to know who is around you, and you have to, I mean, that trust network is so important, especially in a job as high stakes as managing a club as big as Liverpool Football Club. And I think probably one of the scariest things for Xabi Alonso at this stage is how big of a job it is comparative to the very short time he's been a manager and has been doing managerial football. But obviously, his record at the moment speaks for itself, and I think this might be too good of an opportunity for Liverpool to pass up. I think it's definitely worth the gamble. You know, there are other names on our list, but I think if we didn't go for Xabi Alonso right now, I mean, well, put it this way, if we get Xabi Alonso, I think a lot of the names on our shortlist remain at the clubs that they're at. If it doesn't work out with Xabi Alonso and, you know, unfortunately we had to part ways with him, we could probably go back in and pick up some of those other names on the shortlist. Whereas if we go for one of those, for example, let's say we went for De Zerbi at Brighton. He's here for a couple of years. It doesn't work out. We have to get rid of him. By that time, Xabi Alonso could be at Real Madrid, and you're never getting him out of Real Madrid. And he could be absolutely killing it with them. And we'll be sat there looking at him thinking, why didn't we just go for him when Klopp left? Why didn't we do it? So I do think it's worth the gamble, because let's say we take him, it doesn't work. I can see De Zerbi still being a Brighton, if I'm being honest with you, in 1 or 2 seasons' time. So you could go back in and get him. And certainly whoever you went in for would probably be easier than getting a Xabi Alonso out of Real Madrid, for example. So I think it's definitely worth the gamble. Obviously, his record at the moment speaks for itself. There are negatives, like he hasn't had that struggle yet. He hasn't had that downward slope. How does he get out of it? How does he combat that? It's important to know that your manager's capable of doing that. Obviously, Klopp had it with Dortmund, and he's had it with Liverpool and completely turned it around, as we've seen this season. So those kind of things are important, but it's very early in his managerial career. Do we even want to see him have a slump right now? You know, we've seen it with Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa, and absolutely nobody wants him at Liverpool Football Club now. So maybe it's a good sign that he hasn't had that slump yet. If he has to have that at Liverpool sometime down the line, then let's wait and see what happens. But for now, I think it's definitely worth the gamble. For me, Xabi Alonso is number 1 on my list, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Who do you want as next manager at Liverpool? And if it is Xabi Alonso, then let me know why. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like if you have enjoyed the content, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because we will be keeping you guys up to date on everything that's happening throughout Liverpool Football Club, whether that's transfers in the summer or whether that's the new manager, the new sporting director. There's going to be a lot of changes going on at Liverpool. There's going to be a lot of stories flying around. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all of that stuff. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.